Hey guys, welcome back to the garage. Today we're working on a 2002 Honda Accord with the 3-liter V6, and this vehicle has almost 235,000 miles on it. The complaint my sister had with this car was it was shaking at idle and while accelerating, so I figured right away, a misfire, and that's what it was. But what I want to show you guys in this video is what I did step by step just to figure out what happened here with this car, what caused the misfire, and how you can figure this problem out as well with a simple $25 scan tool that gives you basic trouble codes. What the engine's computer does is it monitors the speed of the crankshaft, and when it comes time for cylinder number 3 to fire and do its part to keep the engine running, it notices a dip in the speed and it interprets that as a cylinder 3 misfire. When I first heard about that, I thought that was really cool. It's pretty amazing how sensitive these sensors are and how smooth and fine-tuned these engines really are for the computer to be able to detect that and interpret it as a misfire. It's not always 100% accurate, but 90% of the time, usually the ECM can interpret engine misfires correctly. Now this scan tool is a little bit more elaborate. It'll give you code definitions. I bought this probably 8 years ago for about $100. Like I was saying, you can get basic scan tools for 25 bucks these days that'll just give you codes. So the first thing I did was plug the code reader into the car, and we had, as you can see here, a cylinder 3 misfire code. This means that the engine control module is detecting the engine is not firing on cylinder number 3, and it does this by monitoring the engine speed, if you can imagine that. It's pretty cool how it works. So I started off by replacing the spark plugs. That's a thing, especially on an engine like this where all the spark plugs are easy to get to. The plugs were only $2 a piece for some platinum plugs. And I figured, with 235,000 miles on it, let's just change them anyway. They weren't completely worn out, as you can see there. They still had some life left, but they were worn, and why not replace them? It's only 12 bucks, and it only takes about 10-15 minutes, and it's a great place to start to eliminate a possible misfire cause. So I replaced all 6 spark plugs, and the misfire was still present on cylinder number 3. And once again, because these spark plugs are so easy to get to, the ignition coils are also very easy to take off. This is cylinder number 5 right here. And the one where a misfire was back here on cylinder number 3. So what I did was I swapped the ignition coils. I just pulled the middle one off here, cylinder number 5, put it on cylinder number 3, and after swapping the ignition coils, I started and ran the engine again. And lo and behold, the misfire moved from cylinder number 3 to cylinder number 5. So I knew immediately, without a shadow of a doubt, that this ignition coil here was to blame. Sorry, not that ignition coil. This ignition coil here. That's the new one. So the local auto parts store had it in stock. I ran it up the street and bought one and replaced this old ignition coil with a brand new one there. Plugged it in, fired it up, and everything ran perfectly smooth as glass once again, like a good Honda engine should. Now, if this were my personal vehicle, what I probably would have done is ordered all 6 ignition coils, because generally what I've seen is when one goes, it's a sign that the others are going to start to go. The other reason why I also recommend replacing spark plugs is generally what causes failure of ignition coils is an excessive gap in the spark plug. So what's happening is your ignition coil is working harder, it's getting hotter to create more voltage to jump the larger spark plug gap, and that's what wears these ignition coils out. So if you start with a fresh new set of plugs and a fresh new set of ignition coils, you're going to be good for a long time. And then just make sure that you're keeping these spark plugs changed every 100,000 miles. It's a good maintenance item to do to keep your engine running healthy. And no more check engine light, and no more shaking at idle. Alright guys, I realize this was a really short video and I didn't go into too much depth or detail as far as removing the ignition coils or the spark plugs on this car, but it's so easy. You can do this in probably a half hour. It's so simple. I just wanted to make a video to show you guys what I did here. Maybe someone who's got a misfire on their Honda Accord will find this video and it'll help them out, help them identify the misfire. As always, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. Again, I know it's a short video, didn't go into much detail, but it's just another little job that I have here in the garage. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got some brakes to do next, a bunch of other things, but At any rate, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. And don't forget to tighten your ignition coils down. I was wondering if any of you were going to catch that. Don't leave your socket in there either.